Welcome in and thanks for joining us for the WHHI Daily News, where we strive to bring you more Lowcountry news more often. I'm Bob Stevens. Not a lot of you spoke on Election Day, but the 22% of you in Beaufort County who did bother to vote in Tuesday's primary spoke pretty clearly. 2 Beaufort County councilors appear to have lost their own party primaries. Stu Rodman by a 2-to-1 margin to Tommy Reitz in District 11, and Paul Somerville in District 2 by fewer than 80 votes to David Bartholomew. Former Councilman Mike Covert lost by about 300 votes to Tab Tabernick in District 6. Incumbents Alice Howard and Mark Lawson won their primaries. Paula Brown won the District 8 primary by 10 points. There will not be a new sheriff in town. P.J. Tanner beat JoJo Woodward again, this time by a little better than a 60-40 margin. David Cadd won the GOP primary for county auditor, while over Willie Torral by about a 2-to-1 margin. The 2 big congressional races saw Nancy Mace leading Katie Arrington by more than 5,000 votes, with less than 5% of the vote to be counted. Arrington has conceded the race. The District 7 primary, much easier to call. Russell Fry getting 51% of the vote to avoid a runoff with Congressman Tom Rice, who had voted to impeach Donald Trump. Rice got less than a quarter of the vote from his Republican constituents. Statewide, Governor McMaster and former Congressman Joe Cunningham both easily won their primaries. They'll face off for governor in November. There will be runoffs in both parties for Superintendent of Education on the 28th. Kathy Manis and Ellen Weaver will meet on the Republican side, Lisa Ellis and Gary Burgess on the Democratic side. There's also a runoff for the Democratic spot against Tim Scott in the general election. Catherine Fleming Bruce has 34% of the primary vote, Crystal Matthews 33%, and Angela Jeter 32%. There were only 2 state primaries for a state house seat in the Lowcountry. Michael Rivers and Eric Erickson won each of their primaries in House District 121. For more information on these and other Lowcountry stories, visit the sources listed on your screen. Talking about the heat, Justin Jarrett came inside to update us on how sports are playing out here in the Lowcountry.
Hey Loco sports fans and WHHI viewers, we're halfway through the week, and that means it's time for the Wednesday edition of Last Night in the Loco, powered by LocoSports.com. The Dixie Youth Baseball All-Star Tournaments rolled on Tuesday with the start of the AA Coach Pitch Tournament. The 8 and under crew teeing off against their coaches' BP tosses. Hampton County routed Beaufort National 16-1, while Hilton had rolled to a 19-0 win over Bluffton National. Hayne Karstens with a double, a homer, and 4 RBIs for the Island Boys. And in the nightcap, it was Bluffton American winning 16-2 over Beaufort American. Austin Sauce Males with a couple big knocks and 3 RBIs. And big Caleb Schultz went inside the yard for a Little League Grand Slam for Bluffton. The Savannah Bananas got back at it on Tuesday after a rare day off, but they probably wish they had stayed home. Another day after a 5-2 defeat to the flamboyant Florence Flamingos on the road snapped the Nanners' 5-game winning streak. Not to worry, Savannah's still 11-3 and leads the West Division by 2 games, going into a home matchup with the Flamingos at 7 p.m. Wednesday. The last of the one-day qualifiers for the South Carolina Golf Association's Junior Championship was held Tuesday at Mid-Carolina Club, and local juniors Sage Bradshaw and Jeep Patrick each punched their ticket, tying for 3rd at 2 over par. Locals Michael Gavin, Trip Hedden, Jack Lubkin, Sam Hopkins, and Cade Preskunis also qualified June 4th in Hartsville. They joined a number of Loco golfers who were already qualified, including Beaufort's Jerry Bruns and Simon McAllister, Hilton Head Prep's J.P. Carr, Jack Crisor, and Tag Graziano, and John Paul II's Gabe Schmitz, among others. So there's a great chance of a local golfer playing their way into contention next week. We'll keep an eye on it for you. And that does it for today's edition of Last Night in the Loco on WHHI. We'll be back tomorrow to round up the biggest sports stories from the Lowcountry sports scene. I'm Justin Jarrett for WHHI and LocoSports.com. Until next time, go Loco.
Thanks, Justin. Maria Soden, any break in this heat coming up?
Thanks, Bob. All right, yeah, so we are going to still be under heat advisory for the rest of this week. So if you're going to be outside, make sure you're being careful, stay hydrated, make sure you're wearing sunscreen because the UV index is going to be above a 5 for the rest of this week. So taking a look at Thursday, it's going to be partly cloudy with Hilton Head having a high of 86, a low of 78. Bluffton's going to have a high of 87, low of 76, and Beaufort's going to have a high of 91 and a low of 76. The sunrise for Thursday is going to be at 6:16 and sunset's going to be at 8:31. Taking a look at the beach tides, high tide is going to be 11:28 a.m. and low tide is going to be at 6:37 p.m. If you're going on the water, make sure you're careful as always, but double check tide charts this week because the low tides are going to be in the negatives this week. Taking a look into the weekend, Friday is going to be partly cloudy with highs in the 90s and lows in the 70s. Saturday is going to be partly cloudy with highs in the 90s and lows in the 70s. And then come Sunday, it's going to be sunny with highs in the 80s and lows in the 70s. That's it for today. Let's hit it back to the desk.
Thanks, Maria. When the WHHI Daily News continues, a Hilton Head Islander is headed back to the Ukraine. We're going to find out how you can help him make that trip more successful. And we'll also talk about the big plans in Bluffton this weekend for Juneteenth. Yeah, we got plans here on the island as well. All of that when the WHHI Daily News continues.